street coding or naming or coding of streets, to ease in the delivery of goods and services. And of course, this has not happened. How has this dealt a blow, to the fight against the pandemic?
It's not that we've not been doing it. We have been doing it, but then now it has been scaled up due to the pandemic. And I keep on insisting that the fact that we had existing infrastructure was a plus for us because we have moved faster than other countries. I would imagine if it is in a country that did not have a mobile money transfer, laying infrastructure within a day or two to facilitate this kind of a transaction was not certainly going to be easy. It's something that we would achieve in years or even in months, but we have the advantage of having had these infrastructures in place, then we can move faster than the others. So, and on issues of addressing, again, this is a continuous process. Actually, we are mapping the whole country, and this is a plan that has been going on. And again, I'm saying that the fact that this has happened, we are going to move faster in actually completing our digital addressing system.
About 2 weeks ago, we saw President Uhuru Kenyatta saying that the country is going to deploy the use of Google loans, to help areas that do not have, strong network. Has this happened yet?
The day the president announced the Google loan project, that was actually the day Telecom Kenya was signing an agreement with the Google loan. And on that same day, the Google balloon started its journey from California to Kenya. The balloons, to inform you, have already arrived in our space. Right now, whatever is happening is just configuration. And I'll tell you, in a week or two, the Google loan project will kick off. And once all this is done, then we will have increased internet connectivity in areas whereby establishing physical masts have always been a very big problem, especially in that northern part of the country. But then now the balloons now helps us resolve that issue, because right now we don't have issue of challenges relating to physical terrain, because now the connection comes from up linking down. So basically, we will have connectivity issues resolved in very, very many areas that were previously a big challenge. Yeah.
How long will this project run?
Well, the project, we want to pilot it, and actually we were lucky to have Kenya as being the pilot countries. Then after that, once we appreciate and we see that it is actually solving our problems, then it becomes our way of doing things. Just like I said previously, issues relating to online education provision was not a norm. Issues whereby people were holding meetings through video conferencing was not a norm. But then now people have seen the practicality of these solutions. Then certainly, like I've been talking to many of my colleagues whom we have been meeting online, people are saying there is no need for us to be traveling from County X to Nairobi for a meeting. This is the way we will be doing our meeting. So likewise, our concept, once it's successful and we see that that is the way we'll be doing it, then it becomes our normal way of doing things.
We have also seen, some hospitals like Kenyatta National Hospital embarking on telemedicine. Right. Is this likely to become the new norm?
Excellent question. At the expense of repeating myself, these are some activities that we had started. And our Big Four agenda on health, the Ministry of ICT's responsibility was to ensure that we use telemedicine as a way of ensuring that issues relating to resources pertaining to doctors and all that are solved using technology. The fact that we had an infrastructure in place is what, again, helped us to have that conversation between Kenya and China. And that infrastructure was provided by the Ministry of ICT. We are now using that as a case study, and we're actually saying this thing is possible. So the next thing we're going to do is now to scale up connectivity to other hospitals, and this is a project that we had already started. We are actually doing local area network in very many hospitals, and actually this has already gone out for tender. This is a process that is ongoing. And the fact that COVID gave us a scenario to prove that this can work then therefore there is no going back. The best that we can do is to make it now really work and even work in a bigger scale.
Do we, apart from Kenyatta National Hospital, do we have other, public hospitals that are on the line, to receive this kind of services?
Yes, like I mentioned to you, we have already tendered for doing structured cabling in, I think, 25 hospitals, level 5, level 4 and 5 hospitals across the whole country. This is a process that will be ongoing. Once infrastructure is put in place, and that's why we are doing structured cabling in the respective hospitals and then connecting them to our national fiber backbone, then this again now will become the norm. And the KNH experience gave us proof that this can happen. But then we say we want to start with the level 6 and level 5 hospital, which is our KNH, which is our Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. So the infrastructure is being put in place. Then thereafter, we will just deploy. Because again, for ICT, one of the most important things is to have your infrastructure in place, a robust infrastructure that can support whatever plan or activity we want to take to do. And this is where we are at, whereby we are actually coming up with an infrastructure that will be able to support the technology we want to deploy. Yes.
Another thing that has been emerged out of this pandemic is that people can actually communicate from the comfort of their homes, from the comfort of their offices. And when you look at Kenya's, recurrent expenditure, one of our biggest expenditure item is on travel for meetings and so much. Going forward, how are we likely to use the new technology, to encourage people or to encourage public servants or public officials, to conduct meetings from their localities?
Like I said, I think people are beginning to appreciate that this is really going to be the way to go. We'll evidently talk about it. We are in a committee, subcommittee of Covid-19 that deals with food, and we have foods and agriculture, and we have Governor Muthomi Njuki. Actually, we brought him online one day, and then he even asked, why have we been coming to Nairobi for these meetings? So, I mean, if you actually hear such statements from that level, then you can actually see people are beginning to embrace the way this technology will help us moving forward. So I can imagine a situation whereby the governor himself says, I will not be traveling, I will be doing my meetings online. Then it's very easy to trickle down to staffs, and you can actually inform them that those meetings people go to other counties and all that. If it is not a meeting that requires your physical presence, you can actually have it online. As PSS, we have also been having our meetings online, and people are beginning to appreciate. And actually the general consensus is moving forward. I think this is going to be our way of doing meetings. Because even if you have to consider fuel from all this to wherever meeting point we are, there is really a lot of money that is going to be saved, not just local travel where we are talking about inter-county travels, but even within Nairobi. Somebody going all the way from Upper Hill to Utalii, for example. If you can do that meeting online, there is a lot of money that you're actually saving in terms of fuel, vehicle maintenance, and all that kind of stuff. So I think, and people themselves really appreciate that moving forward, we will all be having our meetings using these platforms. Unless it is unavoidable, or unless that particular meeting requires physical presence, then this is the way to go.
And one of the issues being raised is the issue of security of these of some of the systems that we are using. As a country, where do we stand in terms of ensuring that the gadgets or the systems that we are using are secure?
Very good question. I know at first there was these issues of people using any other software that is available, and it came to our attention that one of the softwares that people are actually using, the Zoom, had been identified as a software that has vulnerability. As a ministry, we took a very quick action and actually informed all our people, that actually it has been brought to our attention that there are rare vulnerabilities on this particular platform. Then we requested our people to move from that platform to a different platform, just to ensure that, because we have not been told of any other challenges that the new platform has. So we've given, actually as a ministry, we've given guidelines in terms of what to do whenever you are conducting your video conferencing, some of the things to check to ensure that as you operate on the digital platform, then security is of importance. Then we also have our cyber security monitoring, the computer incidents reporting team. They are also monitoring all issues relating to security. And in case there are certain breaches, all this is normally brought to our attention. So issues of security, and especially in this particular era, and where a lot of things are relying on technology.
Have we seen an upsurge or a rise in number of reported online cases of safety?
Not much. I would imagine probably with a lockdown in the Western world, because there is normally where most of our threats come from. I think even the hackers are on a lockdown, so we have not seen.
One would imagine that now that there are no much movement. I mean,
yes.
Everybody's like in their house.
In their house, and they have the opportunity to do all that. But actually, to report the matter, that was just on a lighter note. Really, we've not seen. I think, and that's what I'm saying, a lot of this thing happens because of either focus on financial transactions and all that, which has probably gone down. So basically, the other small hackers of messing your website and all that are not really high-tech kind of people, but I know in most cases, guys will be focusing on financial transactions and things like that, trying to get to banks. But with the minimized activity in banks, in financial institutions, but to respond to your question is that it has not been brought to our attention, but certainly our team are monitoring all this. In case there is anything like that, then it will be brought to our attention.
But one would imagine the reason why you don't have a lot of foot traffic to the banks is because a lot of transactions are being done online.
Yes.
And so this raises, the risk levels as well.
Yeah, it does, and I fully agree with you. It's only that, let's say in our scenario, a lot of these transactions are on our mobile money transfer platforms, because people are no longer now going to the banks. It's just the mobile money transfer transactions. Of the bigger risk in hacking and all that is normally when we're actually using the credit cards and things like that. But I have seen within our space, the mobile money transfer transaction has taken higher priority, and that's where most of the transactions are taking place. So under that particular platform, the biggest challenge is normally social engineering. Not really to the extent of hacking and things like that, where somebody says, nitumie kwa hii number. Of course, those ones would certainly be on the rise. But again, I would want to say that nowadays Kenyans are more keen. I mean, previously they would fall for that, but nowadays they are more keen. Even the mobile money transfers institutions have also given people guidelines in terms of what to do when you see such a message, how to check, what to confirm as a genuine and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Last month or the month of March, we saw the World Health Organization, say that, there has been a rise in misinformation, or what it called the infodemic, or the spread of, fake information.
Right.
As a country, that has adopted deeply the social media services, to communicate, we have also not been spared. As a ministry, how are you cushioning Kenyans from this pandemic?
Right. One of the things we've done, because again, I keep on saying this, we always have a very tough balance between what we call freedom of expression and then the issues of that relates to violation of other people's rights, and now the challenge arising from misinformation, and especially on the social media space. We have also equally given guidelines to institutions. For example, if there is some ongoing misinformation, that we've given them instructions that as now the ministry concerned, you pick up that and actually stamp it fake, because you will not stop the other blogger to continue spreading their information, but then now you actually now come up with a correct position of whatever information that seems to be going around, to just ensure, and then again also on the same platform, to just ensure that the right information is passed. So you will find people actually coming up with corrections of information and say, we are aware of this thing going out, but the position of government is this. So basically that would be really the first step that anyone would take, because again, based on these platforms whereby we really do not have full control, and policies relating to what they would call information that can be pulled off the net is based on other jurisdictions, the best that we can do is always to give a correct impression to our citizens in terms of rectifying the misinformation through providing the correct information.
Mm-hmm. Even though there has been a lot of response in regard to this question, the question of 5G, network transmitting, the coronavirus, as a government, have we done enough research to authenticate whether this information is true or not? And if yes, what is our position for now?
Oh, surely, yes. We have done that. And actually, the position is this, that those are conspiracy theorists. There is no relationship whatsoever between the 5G technology and the coronavirus. And we keep, a very quick example. I've also listened to the tapes and that are going around. And one of the things that they emphasize on is that they look at Wuhan as a center of research and technology to be the point where the virus sprang from, and that has the highest number of deaths. But then you realize that within China itself, 5G is rolled out in so many other cities. Shanghai, for example, but the number of deaths are not as many. Another good example is Shenzhen, for example. All these have 5G technology deployed to them. The other question you would actually even, for anybody who's just doing a quick analysis, is to ask yourself, then how come countries whereby there has been no such a research or even a deployment, for example, Kenya, we are actually not even tested the 5G technology, but you still equally have coronaviruses.
Or the United States.
Or the United States, for example, that has not even deployed the technology. And so many other countries. There are so many other countries in the world that has not deployed technology or do not even have that at the back of their mind, but the virus is hitting them. So our response to this is this. Coronavirus is a viral disease. And to the extent of what we know and have as government is that there is no relationship whatsoever between 5G technology deployment and the spread of the coronavirus. And people should stick to the advice we continue getting from the Ministry of Health, because they have the interests of citizens at heart, and they'll be giving us the right information.
And you're a member of one of the committees that are dealing with food security. And we expect, because of curtailed economic activities as well as business activities, that some people are likely to go into financial distress, thereby denying them the opportunity to feed their families or relatives. How do you plan to use technology to ensure that these people they don't go hungry?
Well, Brian, I'll tell you that actually we have already piloted the cash transfers to the citizens of this country. We, as a pilot, of course, we started with Nairobi. and we piloted the distribution of cash transfers to Nairobi to 5,000 Kenyans. That money was received through the mobile money transfer platform, and Kenyans were able to receive that particular money. I'll tell you, the beauty of a cash transfer would be like this. If I receive my 2,000 shillings from the government, then the people in these slum areas, I'll tell you, they are very good organizers of themselves. They can actually live on 200 or 300 shillings a day, knowing they will get almost everything, because there is a way they can actually get sugar worth 30 shillings. They can go and get salt worth 10 shillings. They can go and get sukuma worth another 10 or 20 shillings. Even meat is sold in not the standard weighing. So I'm seeing, to complement the food distribution plan, whereby you are giving people 2 kilos of unga, you are giving them those things that they would get from a supermarket, the cash transfer magic is that resources actually trickle down to that particular kiosk at that corner of the country, for example, in Mukuru kwa Njenga. And that lady in that kiosk, who normally has a kabook, whereby she can even write that Jerome came and took 100 grams of sugar, 20 bob. That lady now is able to actually interact with their normal customers. The money is able to circulate within that particular region, and the economy of that area is sustained. So I think we are balancing both mass food distribution and also that cash transfer, so that we still maintain that economy at the grassroots level, and those people do not close their kiosks. Those people who operate at that level are still able to continue with their business, and also they continue eating what they like. Because those ones, it's something they are used to. So with the 2,000 shillings, somebody can sort himself out for almost 3-4 days, because they know how to plan with it. So I would say technology has helped in the sense that it still helps us now in managing people coming together as a crowd. Because I'll guarantee you, there is no way you will call people to come and pick food and you don't experience pushover or things like that. But if I send you your money, you actually say, I will go to buy this thing at my time. Managing crowd, which at the same time helps us to manage the risk of further spreading of corona.
Last year, the government embarked on a serious data collection exercise in the name of Huduma Number. Right. And millions of people registered. How is that information coming in handy at this time? You know, number one, to deal with the people who are infected, and number two, to control the virus.
O'Brien, I don't know, you may be aware that the issues relating to Huduma Number, some Kenyans went to court about it, and actually the court pronounced itself that really we cannot go into any other stages of implementation of Huduma Number until the matter is determined. So, and we were actually not even supposed to use the data. The only thing we were asked to do is to collect the data and wait for the decision of the court. So this has put us in a very precarious situation, in the sense that we do not want to defy the court order. As a government that is actually following the court, we will wait for the decision of the court. But I will tell you for sure, it would have been wonderful if we were able to access this data and use this data to manage the COVID-19. It would have been very, very good. But again, that is where we find ourselves as a country. We are obeying the court order, and we will wait for the decision of the court for us to move to the next steps.
How would the situation be different if we were in a position to use this number?
Well, because the number would still help us in even identifying the real persons. We have a challenge. Like I said, one of the reasons why we're moving to Huduma Number is that our ID as a form of identification has its own share of challenges, because we find people collecting other people's ID, going with them to register for all these other services. So you cannot really authenticate the owner of the bearer of the ID with the real owner whom they say to be. So that has been a challenge. But then I'm saying, if we really had a platform whereby we are able to authenticate the person with the documentation and with the details that they have, then we will be very sure that actually we know whom we are dealing with in person and we actually have correct data. Then data analysis based on that becomes very easy in terms of distribution, in terms of location and things like that. All those will have been the advantages would have accrued from the use of the Huduma number. But hopefully, moving forward after the case, then we can do better.
And one of the issues that was raised was that we didn't have a data protection law, but in November, Kenya passed one of the most progressive data protection laws in Africa. How are we safeguarding against the misuse of public data by various institutions? We have seen the government saying that it is going to use mobile application to monitor, people who are violating, their self quarantine pronouncements.
Yeah, one of the things that the data protection law addressed or came up with was introduction of an institution where we have the data commissioner. The data commissioner was actually now the office that was actually going to to look at the full spectrum of data access, availability, who can actually capture data, and they're actually going to be licensed to do that. And I'll tell you for sure, we've started the process of recruitment of the data commissioner. We advertised a couple of weeks ago. They were given 3 weeks to respond. The submission closed last week. The Public Service Commission now is going through the process of shortlisting. Very soon we go through that, and once the data commissioner, the person, is appointed, then the establishment of the office of data commissioner will now proceed, and with that in place, then all these issues will easily be solved because the law is already there. We have even already developed the regulations that will accompany the functioning of this particular law, that will operationalize the data protection law. So moving forward, it will become very easy. So this is a process that is ongoing.
In the interim, who is safeguarding the interest of the public in regard to their data?
Well, at the moment we're just using the existing institutions because already the law puts into place some of the things that needs to be done. So, for example, if there is a violation, then the normal action of somebody either suing or somebody taking that action is in place, and we're just using the existing legal framework to deal with it. But I know it will be stronger with the existence of the Office of the Data Commissioner and the officers. Then it will even be better because it can easily be streamlined.
I mean, one may argue that China is different from Kenya, but China used widespread contact tracing technology, to curb movements of people from point A to point B, and to try and trace a contact between infected people and those who are not infected. And this has been highlighted as one of the issues that led China, to deal with the pandemic so quickly. In our case, bearing in mind that we do not have such an application, what are we doing, or what are we using?
I'll tell you for sure, there's a technology behind contact tracing. And that is actually going on to help all this information we hear about this particular area, this particular region and all that. Apart from the manual submission, there is a technology behind it. So basically, we are not at the level where China is for sure, but actually we have technological applications that are also helping us in this particular space.
How is it being applied?
Well, we would not wish at this moment to go into the detail, but I think I would want to guarantee you that there is a technology.
What lessons have we learned so far, and are we learning out of this pandemic in the use and deployment of technology going forward?
Some of the lessons that we can get from this is that, one, we need to up our ICT infrastructure. The level at which we are at now, though not that bad, but can be improved. So an improvement of our ICT infrastructure to be able to manage full deployment of technology once really a situation demands that the technology is deployed is very key. So we're saying there is need to enhance our technological infrastructure. Secondly, again, we also need to put in a lot of emphasis on applications, that we need to really come up with applications. But I know some of the things that have been hindering the application is the robustness of our infrastructure. But then once we up our infrastructure, then followed very closely should be also coming up with applications that will help us resolve this. So there is need for us to think, to be more creative, to be more innovative. And actually, thirdly, is that we are able to come up with the local solutions for our problems. Now that there had been blockades of importations and all that, Kenyans have been very creative and innovative, and as the peers in charge of innovation, we want to take advantage of this and actually encourage many more people. A lot of innovations have been brought to our attention. The thing is that we need to take advantage of this and grow our local innovation, grow our local manufacturing, grow our local ability for us ourselves to provide our services without so much dependency on other parts of the world. And this is clearly coming out as a very big lesson. A lot of energy we are putting it in that particular space, and I know it is really going to bear fruit. And then again, also skill development. We also need to look at what are some of the skills that now we need to develop moving forward. What are some of the skills that the world needs moving forward? I think this, from an IT perspective, provides us with a very, very good platform to look at some of the things we need to do moving forward.
All right.
Well, in conclusion, O'Brien, I think with respect to COVID-19, my message to Kenyans is let us be disciplined. This is a disease that does not know race, does not know religion, and that does not know color. For those who imagine that this is a disease for those people who use aeroplanes, right now I think you've heard that the level the disease is now currently at is what we are calling community spread, whereby you are getting infected by your neighbor, the person whom you meet in your course of working and things like that. So more care needs to be taken, and this can only be taken through discipline. And what does discipline here entail? We are saying, please do the right thing at the right place and at the right time. If we are told to be in our homes at 7, please let us get to our home at 7. If we are told to wear masks, please wear masks when you're outside. So we only need to be disciplined and ensure that we are doing the right thing at the right time, at the right place, based on guidelines that the government is giving us. Our government is interested in our people. So all these are not to frustrate, are not to stress the citizens, but actually the main objective is that we are taking care of the lives of Kenyans. When we say you don't work at night, O'Brien, what we are simply saying, as government, we are losing revenue. When financial activities, if bars were open at night, government would be really making a lot of money from revenues arising from supermarkets working at night, hotels and lodgings working at night, bars working at night. But then we have said, let us put aside our revenue interest and put in front the interest of the lives of Kenyans. So when government seems to be very tough on those people who are breaking curfew, our argument is very simple. We cannot lose revenue, and we also cannot lose you.
One has to give.
Yes. So we need to deal with you because you are not being serious with your own life.
Very well. Thank you so very much, Bonapiers, for joining us. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, O'Brien, for having me.
Very good.
And also wish you the very best.
The use of ICT alone will not help to deal with the pandemic. The question of discipline is also very important. Wash your hands, avoid unnecessary movements, and keep social distancing. And by doing all these, combined with technology, we're going to win the war against the virus. You have been watching Inside Government. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Thank you for your time.